I know that if I learn the fundamentals and I become adaptable and I bring results, I can see myself building a career here in the future. So that is the most important thing for me, 100%.
So if we zoom all the way out, your whole tech sales journey, how long did it take you? What were you doing? Like, what kind of career are you coming from? Why did you want to get into tech in the first place?
Yeah, so I work in curbside, which is the department that takes care of all the online orders in my grocery store. I work in retail basically. So I was leading that team. I was an operations team lead. And the reality is that the growth potential in that career is very limited.
Hmm.
So I've been trying to get into sales for like a very long time, honestly. But in tech sales in particular, you can actually have a career doing that.
Yeah.
So that's what got me into tech sales in particular. I know that I can get promoted. I know that I can get into a position in which I can have my own team. So that's what led me into tech sales in particular and having basically the best of both worlds, like the commissions, but also a stable career. So yeah.
Yeah, man. How'd you find out about tech in the first place? YouTube, Instagram, some friend, or
Yeah, so I was very close to get into high ticket,
oh yeah.
but then I remember that one of my friends, who also was trying to get into high ticket, was able to get an SDR role, and that's how I found out about that. Then I got into YouTube. I tried to watch a little bit more about the industry in general.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it happened pretty much.
Wow. Okay. And then what about your journey into tech sales before we met? What was it like? Were you throwing out hundreds of apps or what was that like?
Yeah, so I was able to get a few interviews and I was able to get far, but again, I wasn't feeling that I was advancing. Like, obviously, I was getting rejected,
Hmm.
and I felt that I was learning a few things, but I knew that I could do better. I knew that there were things that I wasn't doing properly. Like, for example, before I met you specifically, I remember that I did a mock call and it wasn't good, honestly. And from that, it was like, I knew that I need to change. I knew that I needed to change in order for me to actually get an SDR role. So I started to look for like a coach,
Yeah.
somebody that I could actually help me in learning the SDR fundamentals and what these hiring managers are looking for specifically. And that's how I found you.
That's tough, man, because when you make it to a mock call, you're pretty far in the interview process. And to make it to a mock call and then feel like you blew the mock call, what did that feel like?
Yeah, so it was very tough, honestly, because it was very bad. I ain't gonna lie about that. Like, the mock call was terrible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I knew that I needed more preparation, basically.
Mhm.
Somebody that basically went through that process himself and could give me those advices because I knew that I could improve, that I could do better, but
Yeah.
I needed someone to just tell me and coach me, basically.
And how many apps ballpark had you put in before Sword and how many interviews did you land?
So, before Sword, it was specifically a few interviews with three companies specifically.
Three companies.
And yeah, pretty much it was three companies. But of course, I put like, I don't know, I could say maybe like 20 applications.
Okay.
And I was able to basically get those three interviews with those three companies. One of them was a very good company. It was Deal.
Yeah.
And that's the one that I got into the mock call
Mm.
exercise, but I wasn't able to get through it.
Dang, okay. So what was the turning point? Was it after the mock call where you're like, all right, I need some kind of external help, or when was that decision?
That is correct. Yeah, it was after the mock call. That was a turning point for me. I was like, no, yeah, I need someone. I need someone that can help me, learn the fundamentals
Gotcha.
and basically to be able to get through this.
So when you went to go look for someone, what was out there? What did you see, and why did you ultimately decide to come work with us?
That's a great question. So, to be completely honest, I didn't find too many coaches. You were the only one that had like a very solid social proof, in my opinion. Very good testimonials that I could see,
Sure.
and I could see that everything was kind of real. So, that's when I decided to book the call. I wasn't going to lose anything by just booking the call. So, that's ultimately what led me into booking a call, with your program.
Mhm.
And it was basically the social proof.
Mhm. And then we went through an arc with you where, like, the first time you kind of worked with us, you felt like you weren't getting the results and like there was a gap missing, right? You were getting into interviews, you're doing pretty well, but then we couldn't get you to the offer, is kind of what you communicated to us, and you were going to go look for other help. And then I think you and I had a little exchange over Slack, and it's like, look, man, like if you need more help, I'm going to give it to you. Let's get you dialed in. I think we got you more support and stuff like that. Can you tell me what was pushing you away, and then what brought you back to keep working with us?
Yeah. So I could say honestly that I needed more one-on-one coaching sessions. That was the only thing because I was getting interviews
Mhm.
and that was great, but there were a few things that I needed to work on. For example, I did one last round. Um, I got onto a last round with one company and I knew that I could have gotten that offer. I just knew it. I just did a little bit more of a push basically,
Mm,
and yeah, that's what led me into thinking that maybe I could have like a little bit more of coaching basically,
yeah.
because in that moment I wasn't getting that much. I think that I only had like one session and that was pretty much it. So when I talked to you, you basically convinced me to stay. That you were gonna give me a little bit more of coaching sessions, and you see just one more interview process that I got, and I was able to get the offer. So yeah, that was pretty much the thing.
Do you regret staying?
Yeah, absolutely not.
Good.
Yeah, this is the best offer that I got. So yeah, 100%. So yeah, I'm very happy.
Yeah, man, 100%. And I'm proud of you for sticking it out, because I think when you're in a job search, there's already so much rejection that you start to like, you weren't ever giving up, but you start to lose hope in the approach you're taking. You're like, okay, I got to go try something else. I got to try something else. I just felt like you were resilient, and you're like, all right, man, I'm willing to recommit. Let's go. And then, like you said, probably what, 2 weeks later, we had everything signed, sealed, delivered.
Yeah, I could say maybe 2 weeks and a half.
Yeah,
That's everything that it took. Yep.
massive, amazing. So when it came to the interview process you got into with the company you ended up at, amazing company, by the way, I'm super pumped for you. Um, did you feel prepared for the later rounds where they probably did a mock call, right? Some interview assignment type stuff. What would your advice be, I guess, to the people listening who are doing mock calls, who are getting ready for these interview assignments? What would you tell them about what made you successful?
Yeah, so obviously the advice that I could give them is very specific, but I could say 100% to always practice with someone that went through those mock call exercises.
Hmm.
And the reason why is because you're not gonna know what's gonna happen a lot of the times, all the objections that you might be facing specifically,
Yeah.
and the way that you need to run discovery, obviously. So the way that you run discovery is gonna depend on each company because they're gonna have like their own style, like their own selling method or whatever you wanna call it.
Hmm.
But again, it's always very important to practice with someone that went through that process himself.
Mm,
So that's the advice that I could give them. Try to get a coach 100% because the job market is brutal right now. And there's a lot of competition out there. And I
yeah.
believe that in the future, it's going to be even more difficult. With AI coming, I'm pretty sure that SDRs are going to become even more competitive than they are right now. So,
Mm.
yeah.
And I remember one thing with you is you were a bit worried about your accent, which, by the way, I think you sound great, bro. You sound great. So I wonder if it was more of a mental thing that you felt like was holding you back than it actually was holding you back. But what would your advice be to people who might have a bilingual or trilingual background, maybe English is their second language? How did you navigate that?
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, that was my biggest concern, honestly. And I could say 100% it was something mental. And the reason why is because people don't care about the accent.
Yeah.
And that is something that I learned in my position as an operations team lead. They only care whether you can bring them results or not.
Yep.
And that's just a reality. And now, obviously, as an SDR, in my case, I don't have sales experience. So it's going to be very difficult for me to prove that I can bring them results. So that's what I needed to focus on in the interview process. Focus on making sure that I could solve any concerns that they may have. Obviously, learning what they're looking for. Maybe they're going to be looking for someone that has experience. Maybe they're going to be looking for someone that actually is able to ramp up quickly. It's going to depend on them
Yeah.
specifically. So try to be able to learn what they're looking for and then be able to articulate that in each interview because you're going to be interviewing with different hiring managers. So yeah, just to answer your question, yeah, my accent was the biggest concern that I had, but it was something mental. Of course, I'm
Yeah.
working on it, but yeah, 100%.
Speaking as a manager, someone who would have decided to hire you or not, I agree with you. I don't care if someone has an accent. Now, there does
Yeah, they
need to
don't care.
be, you have to be fluent or conversational with English. Like you have to speak English, right? And it has to be clear and concise. You can't be crazy, still learning English. We can't do that. But if you have basic English, then I care way more about your work ethic and can you actually add value to the team, what you're saying. And there's even this unique advantage that someone like you gets, bro, where you're going into the restaurant industry, they're probably going to have you call upon more like Hispanic backgrounds and kind of those territories because you can use your Spanish, right? And so it's kind of
100%.
for me, it's as a manager, it's like, oh, I'd rather have someone who can speak Spanish and call into that market versus not. So it's a mental thing, and I get it because I've lived overseas in other countries, and for me, it was the same thing. Like, oh no, I don't know the language, but it's an internal confidence thing that you just have to push out and say, no, I'm going to show up, I'm going to add value, and they're going to see me, and they're going to look past an imperfect English accent.
100%. 100%. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't work on your weaknesses, but yeah, you should focus on how you can add value to that team specifically.
Mhm.
And the only way that you're going to learn that is obviously going to be through the interview process. So yeah, 100%. I agree with you.
How did you handle the no tech sales experience objection that you got?
Yeah, so it was basically thanks to your coaching, we were able to create a very good answer for that one specifically. And again, learning what they're looking for, learning what you're going to be doing as an SDR, and be able to articulate that of the best way possible, the way that you're going to have success in the role, and all the things that you potentially might struggle with. So basically, learning the role and working with your coach. That's the way that I learned to handle that specifically.
And if we were to rough draft this right now, like we were in an interview, I kind of want to see because you're still in interview mode, so you probably have a good answer ready to go. So, like, yeah, Fernando, great conversation, really enjoyed it. My only concern is that you don't have proven tech sales experience compared to some of our other candidates. So, other than that, I had a great conversation. How would you respond?
Yeah, so I understand your objection with my lack of experience, but I'm gonna go ahead and be a good salesperson and address that. I have a chip on my shoulder because I know that I am improving as an SDR, but that only makes me feel more motivated to work harder and to improve. And also, something that I do have formal experience with, it's in solving customers' problems on the phone, which is ultimately what I'm gonna be doing as an SDR. And also, in my current job search, I've been basically doing the job to get the job. I've been running my own sequences, doing cold calls, sending emails, and also, again, I know that I don't have an SDR title in my resume, but that is something that you shouldn't be worried about, and that is something that I am not concerned about as well.
Come on, bro. Let's go. You just so
Yeah.
politely and gently smacked me in the face. And you're like, it's
Yeah.
not a problem. And I love that as a manager because most people, even the people listening right now, they're going to get that objection. And most people will just kind of shut down and be like, oh, okay, well, I appreciate the time. Thank you. There's no fight
Mm,
there. But if you're going to go into sales and cold call, I need some fight in you. I need you to punch back if I punch you because I don't care if you have experience or not. Like, this is an entry level role. How are you supposed to get into tech sales with experience if you've never been in tech sales before? Like, we know that you don't have experience. That's okay. But I want the guy like you who's going to stand there and flex on me and push back. And to your point, if you're doing the sword process, do the job to get the job, you're not just saying what you said, but you demonstrated it through the whole interview process because you made
that's
the cold
correct.
calls. You showed them your outbound process. You followed up with them after every interview, like an SDR would. You talked to their teammates, their reps that they hired, because you cold called them. Like they have so much evidence stacked up that Fernando knows how an SDR works. That you saying it is backed up by this mountain of evidence, and that's why it works when you do the words plus the action.
Yeah, and something that I may add, Jack, and I believe that is extremely undervalued. I love the fact that you give like a structure that you have to follow every time that you answer a question in interviews. And the reason why is because it's very easy to just talk and talk and talk, and the other person on the other side of the screen is just gonna feel lost. So with the structures that you teach, it's gonna be very easy to answer questions. I believe that the key of being a very good communicator is to have a proper structure
Yeah.
every time that you answer a question. So yeah, I love that, particularly from your program. I'm pretty sure that not too many people is gonna, recognize that. But yeah, I believe that is great that you teach that.
So good, man. Yeah, I developed those frameworks for myself. That's where it started. I was going into these interviews. I'm like, man, I'm going to ramble for 5 minutes if I don't
Yeah, correct.
organize my thoughts. And so
Yeah.
having that 3P framework, which by the way, if you're listening, just go to any of my videos on my main channel and you'll see me talking about 3P. It just gives you safety in your brain. Like any question they throw at you, I have this safety net around me that's going to protect me. Definitely.
Yeah, and you're gonna need it. You're gonna need it 100% because interviewers are gonna push you.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to organize your thoughts and articulate them.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, take me to the job offer. How did they tell you? How'd you find out? What was that moment like?
Yeah, so I was working in that moment, but yeah, I got the text message from my recruiter, and actually, they sent me the contract first, and I was like, "What is this?" And then she sent me the text message, and yeah, bro, I was so happy about it. Like, I knew that I got it finally after all this time that I've been trying to get into tech sales.
Wow.
So yeah, I was super happy about it, and it was with a top company, and that is the most important thing. That is arguably the most important thing, actually, because I can see myself building a career here, and I know that if I learn the fundamentals and I become adaptable and I bring results, I can see myself building a career here in the future. So that is the most important thing for me, 100%.
So if we zoom all the way out, your whole tech sales journey, how long did it take you?
So in general, it took me around maybe 8 months. I could say 8 months,
Okay.
100%.
And you went from an 8 month attempt at getting into tech sales to meeting us and collapsing that way down. And I think the most exciting part for me, second to the company, because the company is like, dude, top of the line. You're going to a great company. That's the number one thing I'm pumped about. But number two, man, is the income jump for you. I mean, you're making what? I think you said like 32K a year on average, right?
Yeah, something like that. But I could say that's the average.
And it's more than doubling your income.
Yeah.
What the
Yeah.
heck does that feel like?
No, it feels awesome. It feels awesome. I know that in the future, I'm going to be able to have a family and be able to provide for them. That is the most important thing, honestly. And that's everything that I care about. So I know that now that is something possible. I just have to put in the work, be able to, again, learn the fundamentals and be able to ramp up quickly. And that's it.
Beautiful, man. Wow. Do you have any closing tips, any advice for people listening trying to break into tech sales as we close out here?
100%. So I could say that the most important thing that you need to understand is that the job market is brutal right now. There's a lot of competition, a lot of applicants, and you need to learn how to stand out. And I understand that maybe 3 years ago, it was something weird for a hiring manager to receive an email or a call from an applicant. But you have to understand that right now, there's going to be a few people doing that. So you don't only need to do that, also learn to do it the right way. And yeah, 100%, if there's someone on the fence of joining Jack's program, I recommend you to do it 100%. He's going to have your success in mind, and you need a coach. You need a coach that's going to guide you throughout this process because it's going to be a difficult process in general. But if you have a coach, it's going to be way faster and way easier. And without him, I wouldn't have been able to get this offer, which is amazing offer. So yeah.
It took a lot of your hard work too, man. You didn't give up. So thank you for trusting me and trusting Sword. Bro, I think what you just said is actually very profound. It's not just doing the things, but it's doing the things the right way. Because even as a
Correct.
manager, I had a lot of people send me LinkedIn messages, send me emails. But if I'm being honest, they're terrible. So they're putting in more work, they're doing more effort, but it's equal outcome that it still sucks. So it's not just doing the thing, it's doing it the right way. That's a great point. So man, I'm so proud of you. Congratulations. I'm definitely going to be a cheerleader for you from here on out. And in terms of Sword and where we are, you're part of the community for life. So anytime you need help with a career jump, you just come right back to us and we'll help you out.
Oh, absolutely. No, thank you, Jack. Thank you for, basically telling me to just stay in the program. And, without it, I wouldn't have been able to get this offer. So thank you.
Praise God, man. What a blessing.